I could not understand why men who knew all about good and evil could hate and kill each other. Mary Shelley, Frankenstein.
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Stacks, Scottsdale Public Library's premier podcast. My name is Ben, and we're so excited you could join us for our very first episode. We have a great show in store for you today. It's spooky season, so of course we have some spooky content to share, along with some book recommendations and library stories. Let's start our journey at Arabian Library, where we'll ask the question, who's haunting our library?
My name is Sarah. I'm a librarian with Arabian Library. The most interesting thing about Arabian Library is that it's haunted. We opened the library back in 2007, and about 6 months later, which would bring it into 2008, we had a regular patron who used to sit in the back of the library. One day he came in and he looked kind of sheepish, and he asked myself and a colleague, have either of you or your colleagues experienced anything strange? My colleague and I just kind of looked at each other and smiled and said, no, it's a new library. It's a very nice library, but no, what exactly do you mean, sir? He replied, again, rather sheepishly, how he has sat in the back for quite a few months now. He likes to read, but over the past few weeks, he has heard footsteps in the back when no one was there, and he has had books fall off the shelf right in front of him, unprovoked. At that moment, we just kind of smiled and nodded and said, okay, well, we're not aware of this, but I suppose let us know if it continues. And he said, okay, well, it just happened. So I left the book there if you want to see it. So yeah, my colleague and I walked back with him. It was the second to the last row, and there was a book, as he stated, on the floor. The interesting thing, though, is it was not a display book. You could clearly see it had been shelved because there was room between two other books. It would have fit in there perfectly. Now, of course, we have to ask ourselves, are we being punked? Is he messing with us? So picked up the book. I don't remember what the book was at the time, but it was back in the fiction section. There's vents in the floor. Maybe it kicked on and it rattled the shelves. I don't know, but this is quite interesting. And you said this has been happening for a few weeks now? And he replied, yep, footsteps and books falling off the shelves without any explanation. Like, okay, are you concerned? And he said, no, it's kind of entertaining, actually. Over the next few weeks, he would come in, he would say every once in a while, well, I heard something again. And so, of course, we started asking our staff, has anything happened for anyone else? Or is this patron just kind of pulling our legs? Interestingly enough, we had others say they had experiences too. One of the colleagues, after I had asked her, said she also felt very uncomfortable back by the large window. Now, granted, I did not tell her where the gentleman said he had been experiencing these situations, but she said she felt very uncomfortable. It felt very oppressive and just dark and murky were her words back there. And so she didn't like having to go back there, especially before we opened when no one else was there. We had another colleague who said she had heard voices in the children's area before we were open. And these two gals, of course, they didn't want to say anything to anyone. They didn't want to sound strange or odd. But once I asked around, it kind of gave them permission to say what they had experienced. Once word kind of got out to the rest of the staff that there may be some experiences, some of them were really interested and they wanted to have experiences too. Others wanted to ignore it. They wanted nothing to do with it. A few months later, in the fall of 2008, a colleague and I were closing the building, and it was after hours. We got everyone out of the library, and we were taking care of the cash register. Suddenly, we heard a man's voice in the stacks. We both looked at each other shocked and thought, oh my gosh, we locked someone in the library. We got to go get this person out of the library. Together, we walked back to the stacks, and there was no one there. We were dumbfounded. First, that we could have locked someone in the building, but then upon the realization that there was no one there, and there was no way we could have heard a man's voice that clearly, although we couldn't hear what the words were, but we definitely heard a low man's voice in the stacks. Just the fact that there was no one there, it unnerved us, to say the least. We hightailed it out of there. We finished balancing the register and did another sweep to make sure there was no one hiding, no one trying to prank us. Because then, of course, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, is the patron in there who's saying it's haunted? What do we got going on here? But we went up and down the stacks, and we got out of there as fast as we could. A week later, this colleague and I were closing again, and we kind of joked around about the week before because it had been a little bit of time. Still had no idea what happened. However, we thought, all right, well, let's joke around. Oh, are we going to hear another person's voice tonight? Probably not. That'd be so strange if it did. Literally about 10 seconds after we joked about that, a book fell in the stacks. And again, it was after hours. We had closed the building. We had made sure everyone was out of the building. We were the only ones there. And we both looked at each other again, wondering what in the world is happening. Like last time, we decided to go to the stacks together to investigate what was happening. Sure enough, there was a book in the middle of the floor that had fallen off of the stacks. I would love to say it was some kind of a paranormal ghost book, but it was Chemistry for Dummies. Again, it was not a display book. It was in the middle of the stacks between two other books, sandwiched tight. But it was on the floor. We could not describe or understand how that could have fallen. After that, there was an uptick in events that our team was experiencing. Voices, someone saw an apparition in the teen space. Staff would come in, they had shelving duties, and so they would come in the morning and they would find books laying on the floor when they were not there the night before. Since we'd been having quite a few experiences, most of the staff were comfortable, but there were some who were not. I decided to do some research and see if there are any groups that would investigate the library to see if we are haunted or not. Many of you may or may not remember a show called Ghost Hunters. It turns out they have a sister group called the Sonoran Paranormal Investigations. They are a local nonprofit group that will go to people's homes or work and help them investigate possible hauntings. I decided to reach out to SPI and see if they would be willing to investigate Arabian Library. I spoke with Amy. She said they would be more than happy to take the team to Arabian and investigate. They do scientific investigations. They are very skeptical. They will bring different equipment and try to rule out actual factors that would be causing the certain events. In September of 2010, SPI came out to the library and they did an investigation. They decided to do the investigation after hours once the library was closed. I was in attendance, and they are a very professional group. They do not solicit donations. All of the equipment they use are purchased on their own, and the time they use is their time. Their mission is basically to try to put the homeowner or the business at ease, to help them understand why they are experiencing the events they are. That evening, SPI came to the library and they set up video recorders. They set up cameras. There were 2 different groups in 2 different parts of the library. They had EMF meters, which are electromagnetic readers. There's an idea that entities will use the energy around them. And so if the lights start to flicker, that means you may have an entity nearby. They also use temperature gauges and, like anything else, personal experiences. However, with them being scientific, that is not weighed as heavily as the other visual evidence. During the investigation, there were some very interesting things that happened. I was very lucky to be part of the investigation to see how they do this. My group was sitting in the children's area, and you may have seen on different television shows where you sit in a room and there might be a K2 reader or an EMF detector or a recorder, and they will ask questions. What is your name? How long have you been here? Certain questions to try to provoke a response. About 45 minutes into the investigation, we had one of the other gentlemen from a group, walkie-talkie, asked us if anyone was in the teen area. None of us were in the teen area. What had happened was a camera that was on a very small tripod was sitting at one of the desks recording. Suddenly, it basically just decided to not fall, but very slowly lean down and rest itself on the table. None of us were in the room at the time. They could not explain why that happened to the camera on the tripod. We continued the investigation. We heard footsteps again by the large window in the fiction section of the library, and no one was standing or walking at the time. They are wondering whether or not the vents in the floor could have caused that sound. However, later, when they went back and listened to their voice recorders, when they took a listen to the moment where we heard the footstep, what they heard was not a footstep, but it sounded like a disembodied voice saying, "Get out." The other responses that evening were in the children's area. We went back there later in the evening and we set up the EMF detector and the voice recorders. And again, we heard what sounded like a footstep in the children's area. When we went back and listened to the voice recorders, again, it did not sound like a footstep. It sounded like a little child saying hello. After hearing the footsteps in the youth area, we set up an EMF detector on one of the tables, and the lead investigators began asking questions. When they began asking questions as to, is there someone here with us tonight, the EMF detector started lighting up. Even the investigators were a little taken back by this because for the many investigations they had done previously, they did not have the EMF correspond directly with questions asked. As we continued in the evening, it kept responding to the questions. A few weeks later, after they had reviewed all of the evidence, mainly being the video from the teen area, the audio from the adult fiction section, and the EMF and audio from the children's, they absolutely concluded that they believe Arabian Library is haunted. And they were able to identify 3 different voices one man, one female, and possibly one child. So the next time you're in the stacks at Arabian Library looking for your favorite book, you may not be alone.
Are you a high school student in Scottsdale getting ready for life after you graduate? Do you need help with the planning process? Then you should check out the College and Career Corner at Scottsdale Public Library. Located in the Oasis Teen Room of Civic Center Library, this space offers free resources and advising to high school students in Scottsdale who are getting ready for college and their future careers. You can meet with an advisor one-on-one to further your college and career planning. Advisors aid students with finding a major/trade school, career matching and planning, FAFSA assistance, scholarship and financial aid assistance, and more. Advisors are available Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. by appointment. Walk-ins are accommodated when possible. To schedule an appointment, visit our website and click on the Your Library tab at the top. Under the Visit Us section, click on College and Career Corner. Once you're on the webpage, you can click on Schedule an Appointment today to select either a 30 or 60-minute slot for one-on-one coaching. You will then be prompted to select a date and time and fill in your personal details. Visit our website for more information and good luck with your future college and career planning.
The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. The next hot read for fans of Gothic tales is The Hacienda. Take 1 part malevolent, spooky house, 1 part historical backdrop, and 1 part forbidden attraction, and you have a captivating and spine-chilling read. For Beatrice, marriage is the only way to escape a life under the rule of Tia Fernanda, who poorly treats her mixed-blood niece. Beatrice finds her salvation in Rodolfo Solorzano, a wealthy hacendado. Upon arriving at the hacienda, Beatrice feels a strong, imposing presence and is introduced to Juana, a less than welcoming sister-in-law. Not only does Juana not want her there, but the hacienda also manifests its displeasure in nights filled with terror as bloody apparitions, bone-chilling cold, and the touch of invisible hands, clawing and pushing at Beatrice to drive her close to madness. What may be her only hope to rid the house of its deadly spirits come in the form of Padre Andres. Born on the hacienda and recently ordained, Padre Andres not only knows the power of prayer, but also a dark and more ancient power. Brought together in their quest to end the haunting, a growing attraction threatens Beatrice's marriage, and Padre Andres, who faces prison or worse, the Inquisition, for his forbidden feelings for Beatrice, and more so for the blasphemous power he possesses. Author Isabel Cañas uses her extensive scholarship in history, archaeology, religion, and folktales to weave together a tapestry of horror. After reading it, I found I wanted to learn more about the old world versus new world cultural friction that has been repeated over centuries as explorers traverse the oceans to new lands of peoples. For fans of Mexican Gothic, Rebecca, The Haunting of Hill House, and other Gothic tales, add The Hacienda to your must-read list and walk beyond the doors into the terror that awaits.
My name is Lisanne. My title is Lead Librarian of Adult Services, and I work at the Civic Center Library. The strangest question or request that I've ever been asked while working at the library is a list I wish I have kept over 23 years, but I guess my favorite out of so many strange questions would just be, I had an Ask a Librarian once about how can you tell if your house is haunted. That was fun. I found a great WikiHow article about checking with your county records, finding out who lived there last. This provides a bit of history about the land. It lets the homeowner know if a grisly act or sordid event took place on the property. I also found a local organization called Arizona Paranormal Investigation and Research Society. So they aim to seek truth by uncovering if a residence or business is experiencing a legitimate paranormal event. Compiled all of this information, sent it off to the email that had written into the Ask a Librarian service, and never heard back. I was really curious. I would still love to know if there was a legitimate haunting.
If you're still on the hunt for more spooky fun, join us at the Civic Center Library on October 16th at 5 p.m. for Ghost Hunting Tales with Arizona Paranormal Investigation and Research Society, where you'll learn more about the experiences of seasoned ghost hunter Vinny Amico. We also have It Lives, a classic horror marathon at Civic Center Library on October 31st from 11 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You can wear your costume while we watch 3 horror classics, eat some popcorn, take some spooky pictures, and play some scary movie trivia. Last, but not least, make sure to join us for our annual Halloween Family Fun Youth Program on October 27th at 6 p.m. at all 4 branch locations. Now, let's take a break from our ghostly tales to share a wholesome library story.
My name is Cooper. I'm the lead librarian up at the Appaloosa Library. I've had a number of wholesome memories that are associated with e-resources. One of the greatest things I think that we provide in libraries is helping people with digital literacy skills, because the pandemic really brought to light the digital divide. And so you have often people who are out of the workforce and maybe they retired. They really kind of missed having to continue to adapt to changing technology with the ever-increasing rate of technological advancement. They often feel very overwhelmed at being left behind, or they don't feel a sense of confidence, or they are afraid to break something or whatever, or erase everything. So it's nice to help people who come in and they have a very open mind for it, and they're willing to ask the questions. But sometimes, that does come with a lot of trepidation, and helping somebody work through that and showing them that you are absolutely capable to do this is fascinating. I've worked with a few patrons who were 100 years or older. One person had gotten to the point where even our large print physical books the font was too small for him to be able to see it. And so his wife was a library volunteer at the time, and so she would bring him in when she would do her volunteer shift in the gift shop. He would come up to the desk and he would have his Kindle Fire, and we would assist him with downloading some books. And it's lovely with the digital ebooks that you can expand the size of the font enormously. And now they also have these lovely settings where you can even change the typeface to be more dyslexia friendly, and the spacing is a little bit different. And so there are just so many ways that you can adapt those things. Reading is a real source of helping people out of isolation, especially during things like the pandemic. It's been really special to help people engage with reading again, connect, and get their, mind working, or, whatever, just entertainment, social engagement, and things like that. It is legitimately a life changer for some people.
Are you a friendly, energetic, and responsible teen between the ages of 14 to 17? Do you love volunteering and giving back to your community? If you answered yes to these questions, then you should check out our Teen School Year Volunteering. Through the Scottsdale Public Library Teen School Year Volunteer Program, teens gain real job experience in a fun and educational environment while providing a valuable service to the library and positively impacting the community. Teen School Year volunteers assist with a wide range of tasks in the library and in the community, such as prepping for and assisting with programs, helping maintain the library space, and helping with citywide events. This program allows teens to earn documented volunteer hours with the library that can be used for school, for job opportunities, and even for awards. It also allows teens to explore their interests and learn real-world skills to support success in future endeavors. If you are interested in learning more or wish to sign up for Teen School Year volunteering, visit our website, scottsdalelibrary.org. We'd love to have you as part of the team.
Hi, this is Sheila Raymond, the president of the Friends of the Scottsdale Public Library, and I am calling out for you to join us in raising money for the Scottsdale Public Library system. We are doing a donor match event on October 22nd, where when you donate to become a member of the Friends, we have organizations that will match that, so your donation doubles. So we're very excited about that. And again, that's October 22nd. The question is often asked, well, what do you do with this money? What is it that you do as a Friends organization? Well, the Friends of the Scottsdale Public Library is a 501c3 nonprofit, all-volunteer organization whose members support Scottsdale's library system through education, advocacy, and fundraising. Scottsdale's libraries rely on us to provide essential resources that are not covered by the city funds, including annual programs like the Children's Story Times, author presentations, STEAM programs, and the well-known summer reading program. Most recently, we helped supplement the costs of the renovated Sky Room at Civic Center Library, an essential hub for early childhood learning, and supported the launch of 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten, a new early literacy program. Our goal this year is to raise funds for the 2025 Ultimate Family Playdate, which will bring a lot of experiences into the community for young and old alike, but especially those youngsters who love story times. So we are raising money, and we could really use your help, but more importantly, we would love you to become a member of the Friends organization. If you would like more information, please check out our website at www.scottsdalelibraryfriends.com.
My name is Cassie. I'm an adult services library assistant. I work at the Civic Center branch, which is the main branch for the Scottsdale Public Library. I have read so many books that I feel like a little piece of that book has had an influence on me, but if I was going to pinpoint a book that had really had what I feel like is a profound influence, one of those would be E Squared by Pam Grout. This is what some people might call a woo-woo or new age book. Pam Grout is a journalist with a scientific bent. She's very skeptical, and she wanted to write a book about, is it possible that we can create our own reality? Is it possible that we can harness our own energy in order for our lives to be better, for certain things to happen, just to have an improved mood, that sort of thing? I think it really opened me up to the possibility that we have so much more control over our own destiny and reality than we think we do. We're not victims in some random universe. It makes me think of the quote that energy flows where attention goes. So from the standpoint of making me think about how much more there is to our own lives and our own reality than what's on the surface, I definitely love that book by Pam Grout for just opening the door for that concept to me, that our reality is malleable and that we not only can shape our reality and our future, but it's our responsibility to do so.
Thank you for joining us for our very first episode of the SBL podcast, Beyond the Stacks. We hope you enjoyed our content today. New episodes will premiere on the first of every month, and I promise we have more amazing stories and information to come. Coming up at the library this month, if you and your child love animals, make sure to join us at Appaloosa Library for Animal Community Helpers Youth Program on October 9th at 10:30 a.m. and at Civic Center Library for Tender Little Hearts Mini Tales on October 21st, November 18th, and December 16th at 4 p.m. For those who would like to be more financially aware, check out Uncle Sam and Your Retirement, Understanding Social Security, Taxes, and Medicare at Appaloosa Library on October 21st at 1 p.m., and How to Avoid Top 5 Medicare Mistakes at Mustang Library on October 29th at 1 p.m. For those who love reading and discussing what you've read, come to our Staff Picks book discussion groups on October 14th at 1 p.m. at Appaloosa Library, October 15th at 1 p.m. at Civic Center Library, and October 20th at 2 p.m. at Mustang Library. Arabian Library will host their Arabian Nights book discussion on October 7th at 5 p.m. If you're the crafty kind, join us for Curious Crafter on October 14th at 5 p.m. at Arabian Library, where you can learn how to make shadow box frames. We also have Library Creatives, Whimsical Layered Paper Art Scenes on October 18th at 10:30 a.m. at Civic Center Library. Kids can make some art at the Tween Scottsdale Artist School program on the first Saturday of the month at 1 p.m. at Civic Center Library. This program is designed for 8 to 12-year-olds. We have a second Scottsdale Artist School program for teens and adults right after the Tween program at 2:30 p.m. Same dates and location. Get into gardening and hydroponics with Hydroponics for Beginners on October 4th at 3 p.m. and Gardening 101 at 10:30 a.m., both at the Civic Center Library. Don't forget to join us for the remaining dates of the Ukrainky Ukrainian Women Conversation Series at Civic Center Library. Those dates are October 2nd, October 23rd, October 30th, November 6th, November 20th, and December 4th. All happen at 6 p.m. For more tween and teen programs, join us at Civic Center Library. Civic Center Library has tween programming for 6 to 11-year-olds every Wednesday at 4 p.m. and teen programming for 12 to 18-year-olds every Thursday at 5 p.m. now through December 10th. Visit our website, scottsdalelibrary.org, for additional details about all of these events and more.
This episode was made possible due to the passionate dedication of Scottsdale Public Library staff. The Frankenstein book quote was recorded by Lisa Ann, a lead librarian in adult services. The Haunted Arabian Library was produced and recorded by Sarah, a librarian in adult services. This week's Strange Question was from Lisa Ann, lead librarian in adult services. This week's book review was recorded by Kaylee, library aide in the circulation department. This week's wholesome story was recorded by Cooper, a lead librarian for youth and adult services. Sound edited by Jacob, a librarian in adult services, and Thomas, the library page supervisor. Assistant producer, Marissa, library assistant in youth services. Executive producer, Thomas, library page supervisor. The host of Scottsdale Public Library's Beyond the Stacks is Ben, a library assistant in youth services.